happy, or is it something more to it?
Well, I'll kind of say something. So just before COVID, for at least a year, I'd been doing yoga at my local gym. Once COVID started, you know, obviously I couldn't go to the gym, so that kind of went by the wayside. But one thing I do love about yoga is that every single movement has more than one purpose, you know, whether it's to increase blood supply or quieten the mind. Or I was really quite blown away because I'd wanted to do it for years and then never got to do it. So I do miss it, and it's one of those things that I need to get back into. But again, the great thing about COVID is like people started going online, so it's just as easy to Google YouTube or yoga classes, any kind of yoga class, and do it at home. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, but for me, is it on its own? Is it enough? No, because I like to walk. I'm privileged to live near the beach, so it's literally 10-15 minutes to the beach, and that's my zen time. That's literally where I sit. I get downloads of information. So for me, that's part of my work, because when I'm in that zen mode and I go down to the beach and I just sit there quietly and look at the water, I get thoughts coming, and then I come back and I'm inspired to write something in my book, for example. Yeah, and I swim as well. You'd know I knew. What was I like when I was in India? I was kind of swimming. I just love swimming because I think that's just very tranquil, and it goes back to your roots of being in the womb as well. Yeah.
Right.
So I think that's important.
Thank you, Caroline. Over to Sandeep. Sandeep, what is your intake on that?
I feel yoga is not only about exercise. It's not about lifestyle. Even the word yoga, if you divide and talk about a Sanskrit word, it means a way that joins things. When you say things, it can be anything in the world. Yourself, you with yourself, you with others, others with you with the Almighty, Almighty with you with the nature, nature with you. Everything that joins and combines and brings it together and makes a bonding, that is what is yoga.
Correct.
So if we take yoga only as fitness, okay, good for you. You're taking it as lifestyle, good for you. Weight loss, good for you. Mind balance, body, good for you. I think everybody, like how tango is many things to many people, same way yoga is many things to many people.
Correct.
So we all feel, many a times today when you say yoga, people think, oh, exercising.
Right. But a lot of people also think, Sandeep, that only by doing yoga, okay, for an hour every day or more, whatever they think so, that itself is enough to protect them from inside and outside. Is that true with you? I mean, do you agree?
Not at all. That 1 hour is just that 24 hours. What else is happening in the other 23 hours?
Exactly.
Are you doing yoga?
Exactly.
Are you joining people's hearts?
Correct.
Are you joining people's minds?
Correct.
That is also a way of yoga.
Absolutely.
Are you balancing your life?
Correct.
Are you balancing your diet? You're balancing your family, balancing with your work, balancing with your Netflix and WhatsApp today, right? Are you balancing that whole thing? Or are you getting more heavy on the other side? That is also yoga.
So on one side, do yoga, and the other side, they have absolutely no balance in life. So it doesn't help.
1 hour of yoga.
So exactly, the power of yoga
whatever
is
you want in 1
distorted.
hour. You can do yoga, you can do swimming, you can do walking, you can do running, skipping, do whatever you want. And you say, I'm still exercising. Basically, you're saying I'm exercising for that 1 hour. And yoga is one of the ways you're doing it. But actual way of yoga is the balance.
Correct. Wonderful. Yes, next slide, Anu.
Caroline, what do you say about this before we go further?
Yeah, well, you know, obviously, because my work involves helping people to address physical, psychological issues and using EFT matrix room printing. So while yes, yoga is very great, it's great for connecting with your body and blood supply and all that. Is it changing anything in the subconscious, the programming, the physical and psychological issues? No. So from that perspective, you know, I wouldn't be who I am today if I had not categorically worked on the emotional side and the subconscious programming, especially with matrix reimprinting.
Right,
So,
Caroline.
yeah.
So my question was exactly the same, that a lot of people have these myths like only doing yoga is enough. They do not bother to understand their emotional, their mental, and their etheric side of the body. They do not connect to their soul. Like Sandeep, he is a dancer. You are an EFT practitioner and matrix reimprinter. So you all understand how important it is to connect to the psychological and the emotional and the mental level of a person. But not
Absolutely.
every common man does understand this. So the idea of understanding each one's routine is to find out, are they giving time to themselves? If not,
Yeah.
then what is it that they are missing on? You know?
Mm.
Because these are the concepts that people have by doing exercise, going to the gym and doing yoga is absolutely fine, and I'm hale and hearty, but that is only one part of the story.
Absolutely, yeah. And the other thing that I do actually for the last 2 years, you would have shamans in India, yeah.
Yeah.
And so I have I'm blessed to have met a couple of shamans, father and son, a couple of years ago. And they've got a diploma of shamanism, which I'm actually doing. And every week we do a meditation, and their goal is to help us connecting with our soul, because I think we lose that connection. And
Exactly.
so through meditation, through bringing in our guides or power
Shamanic
animals.
drums also
Yeah,
that
well,
they play.
the son actually drums the whole way through it with his medicine drum. But that's been very, very powerful, you know, to actually have this ability at any moment to just take 3 deep breaths, connecting with my soul wherever I am, and then just ask myself questions. It's been really, really powerful. I cannot stress how powerful that's been, because, you know, their premise is that we have everything we need to know about ourselves, we have within our soul. We don't need to
Yes,
go look out there in the
absolutely.
ether. So that's
Absolutely.
one of the best things I've done.
Yep.
Yeah, in the last.
Yeah.
So that's so beautifully said by both of you. I'm going to carry you to the next quote. And that our beautiful friend Shobha has very beautifully selected. And it says, take a small step every day. So Shobha, if you can
Yes.
go further with that.
Let me elaborate this a little. Just to give you a brief and understand your perspective on this, is Caroline and Sandeep, and even Anu for that matter, you would all agree that there are lots of people who are only thinkers and talkers with no action. They are not action oriented. Okay, like for example, not for example, I mean, there might be people who may be talking a lot of things like, I want to do this, I want to do that, and it remains still want to do that. There is no action taken over it. Okay, so they are procrastinating their own actions. I want to do so many things, but what is the first step or the small step that you are taking towards what you want to do? So what is your take on that? And do you think that taking a step, being action oriented, is more important than only talking and thinking, or the vice versa? I mean, there are people from different genres who do different things, and they are action oriented people. They talk less and do more. But there are too many of them who only talk, who only think. The thinking remains in the head and the talking remains in the talks, but there is no action or no steps taken towards what they want to do.
So over to Sandeep first.
Yes.
Answer that. Thank you.
Well, I completely agree with the different types of people. And especially in dancing, I get to meet all of them.
I'm sure
One who will
they
come
want
and
to
say,
join your class.
yeah, they come and say,
Don't.
oh, we want to dance like this or dance like that. Like they come with so much of excitement and so much of zeal and power that you feel like, wow, this is going to be like tomorrow. We're going to get a champion out of them, and then they don't come, they don't show up. There are some who just come quietly and are magic on stage. And there are some who will come and speak as well and who will put in that kind of effort also. But yes, a small step, every step does matter. especially when I talk about dance, it does, because you need to practice one step a million times before you get it right, before it comes clean, before it starts looking beautiful, graceful, and elegant. And for that, you just need to practice and practice and practice and practice and practice, and not have any extra bubbles to it, like a champagne, and then kind of come down, because it will never work for you, especially in the field of art.
Correct.
So yes, a step every day is the only key to success. You talk about it, you don't talk about it, does not matter. But what's important is to do it, because only when you do it, then you'll be able to present it later on.
Even if you do it and you fail, it's absolutely fine.
That's
The
okay.
fact that you even tried to do it, you took an action, you informed the universe, you told the universe, yes, I want to do it. I'm taking action. Whether you succeed or no, that's a different story altogether. It depends on how it goes. But
I must tell you an incident. There's this gentleman who still comes to my class. It's been about, I think, 14 years now.
wow.
He's still coming and dancing in my classes, and he, of course, is a much elderly gentleman. And there were times, especially when he was about 8, 10 years back, I'm talking about 8 years back maybe, all these young girls would come and say, oh, we don't want to dance with that old man. He's too slow. He's too slow. But today they all want to dance with him. I think
Yeah.
that is what is the achievement. That's the achievement of that man. And I said, you girls used to say no to him 8 years back. Remember that. And today you all wait that when is this man going to be free and he'll come and ask us for a dance. That's because he has put that effort past so many years into himself. And today he is able to reach a point which these girls that time would say no to him.
Right.
I think that is what is inspirational. That is what teaches us that don't give up. Just keep doing it again and again and again and again. And one day you will get what you are wanting to get.
Right. Thank you so much. Over to Caroline.
Well, first of all, I think it might be worth mentioning that, prior to 7 years ago, I was married. I had 3 children that were growing up. I was married for 23 years. I was nursing, community nursing for the last 10 years before I resigned from that 8 years ago. And that was the hardest nursing job I've ever done. Very demanding. Was the wife that took care of the household, did the shopping, dropped the kids off, picked them up. So I've been in that world of overwhelm. Do you know what I mean? And I totally understand that when you're in overwhelm, it's very hard to do anything. I didn't look after myself, nothing like I do now. So I guess I've been in that situation of overwhelm, and I think when you're overwhelmed, you tend to do nothing. It's so overwhelming, it's just like, I'm just going to do nothing. Whereas now, the way I look at my life is, having come from that now, yes, I don't have the children at home anymore. Yes, I've chosen to live in a smaller house, much smaller house, because I don't really need anything big, you know what I mean? Because then that's more to look after, you know what I mean? And at the moment, there's only me. So, but the way I operate is, if I've got a lot to do, the one thing I tell myself every time is, what do I need to do now that's going to make the biggest difference, either personally or in my business? It doesn't matter, whatever it is. And I kind of do that all day. Is what do I need to do now? And I'll just put it out there and then just see what I need to do. And that might be just go for a walk, Caroline. Like, stop your mind, go for a walk, see what happens when you come back, refresh, and then carry on. And it just kind of seems to work well. Yeah.
Right. Thank you. Thank you.
I'm going to the third quote that Shobha has very beautifully selected. And that is, apple a day keeps a doctor away. So over to Shobha.
It's self-explanatory, isn't it, Caroline and Sandeep?
Well, I'm just thinking of all the apples I've got here. Side of me here. I felt like going and getting one and standing here with it.
So apple a day keeps the doctor away. But in my case, I would like to keep the doctor with me if he is handsome, and keep the apple away. Okay. Just kidding. All right. So basically, there are here the concept we are talking about is fruits. Of course, it keeps your mind, body, and soul healthy. No doubt about it. So again, coming to the point, if we have to combine, this is the last quote, I guess, Anu, right?
Yeah.
So if we have to combine the yoga and the small steps to be taken every day and the apple together, in short, what I want to understand from both of you is that just physically being fit with yoga, with health, exercises, having a good diet, fruit diet and stuff like that, that in this current pandemic situation and in the current era of transition that we are moving, all right, do you think that only these small little things are enough to connect yourself to your soul and to Mother Earth, or is there something more to it? What is your suggestion on that? So what I'm trying to understand is only physical activities from the outer side that you are doing, maybe exercise, maybe going to work, maybe looking after your house, and so on and so forth. Is that enough for a human being in the current scenario and this transition phase without focusing on their soul and doing things what the soul is asking you to do?
Well, I can kind of talk about that because, say, for example, chronic fatigue. Do you call that over there chronic fatigue? Yeah.
Chronic fatigue.
Okay, cool. So one of the aspects of chronic fatigue is when somebody is not on the right path. They're not following their true destiny and purpose, you know, and so what can happen is the soul just kind of literally kicks in and goes, no, we're not on the right path. We need to stop. We need to reassess everything. And then, and that, you know, and that might be through, you know, somebody might get cancer, for example. That's another one as well, where the person just literally has to stop and reassess their life. And then, you know, that's when I find, you know, with my clients that they'll start looking at their diet. They'll start looking at all ways, quite often complementary therapies to get, you know, get themselves back physically, emotionally, mentally. So, and then start to go, actually, this is the path I want to take, and then they can heal from whatever that was. Yeah, so it's really, really important. And as Anu says, you know, it's all about vitality. If we're not vital through eating the correct foods, through having an alkaline body instead of very highly acidic as we are a lot today, then you know, you're not going to have the energy to want to do all this stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, I've done a few detoxes actually, and so, you know, when you do detoxes, we were having water that was 9 pH all the time. It's the only kind of water we were having. Everything was alkaline. We were having colonics. Now I know everybody doesn't get the chance to do a detox to that level, but the point is that having done one and feeling how clean your body is, and you know, body odor disappears, and you think more clearly. And yeah, it's just when you feel that, you realize how toxic our bodies become when we're putting all these processed foods and we're not having, you know, the fruits and the vegetables. And yeah, so that was a big learning for me, to have that experience of being very, very clean. And then you get on the plane and look at the food on the plane, and you can almost feel the toxicity of it because you're so clean, doesn't you know? So yeah.
Right. Thank you, Caroline. Thank you so much. And over to Sandeep.
There's a very beautiful Doha of Kabir. I don't know, I'll have to explain that in English to Caroline.
I just love Kabir Doha.
Yes, please.
नहाए धोए क्या हुआ जब मन मेल न जाए, नहाए धोए क्या हुआ जब मन मेल न जाए, मीन रहे पानी में धोए बास न जाए.
Wow, fantastic.
It means, there are many meanings to it actually, but if I just have to explain that in English, just what's the point of having a bath? What's the point of cleaning yourself, putting soap, shampoo, whatever perfumes that we put, when actually our mind is not clean? Yes, and when we say purity, clean, safai, shuddhata, that we talk about, it's not just with the food that we eat.
Decluttering also.
It's even the thought of the mind. Thinking about, is that, are those the apples? Yeah, to keep the doctor away, Are you thinking of the apples? Are you thinking of those fruits? Are you thinking of health through a mind, not just putting it inside your stomach, but what about your thought, your actions, your feelings, your emotions? Are they also equally clean? Are they equally healthy? I think that is what, when you say apple a day keeps a doctor away, I would say to me it means that apple is about the purity of food and the thought and the lifestyle that you're living and you're giving,
Correct.
both together, because only then the doctor will stay away.
Otherwise, which it will not.
Doctors around you, yes. And all the drugs, all the womanizing, all the drinks, all the royal style vodka and whiskeys, all handsome doctors. Why not? We all want that.
Right. Thank you so much, Caroline and Sandeep. And over to Anu.
So Caroline, I need to ask you this, exactly what Sandeep, we were asking him. Is there anything in your childhood that really happened that pushed you into the space of wanting to take care of other people? You were a nurse before, and right now also, if you really look at it, you are looking at human mind and human body, and you're trying some balance between yourself in your body and for other people. So what in your childhood that do you think, or was there somebody that kind of molded you into a thought pattern like that, like nurturing other people?
Yeah. Look, I think because, well, in theory, I was the oldest sister to Cal. You know, my brother's the founder of Matrix Reimprinting. I think I took on that kind of role, even though I was only 2 years older than him. And so I always remember just being one of those kids that just wants to help other people. You know, I was a very nurturing child. And so I think I actually went into nursing, not necessarily to help people heal, but to nurture people, because I was a very nurturing nurse, you know. So, and then, the whole giving out drugs, especially when I was district nursing, sometimes well, all the time we're going into people's homes with the elderly, giving them sometimes 10 different drugs at a time. And, it was kind of, and I was already doing EFT and matrix reimprinting at the time. And it just wasn't congruent that I'm giving out all these drugs that I knew were toxic, that these people were saying to me, I'm sure this is killing me. And I'm thinking, yeah, it probably is. And so that I couldn't continue. It was so incongruent with, again, doing natural therapies compared to giving out these drugs. So I had to make a decision. And and so when I learned EFT, for example, in 2007 with Carl, when he came to Australia, my thought was, I can help people more, And then with Matrix Reimprinting, which came about 3 years later as Carl evolved it, I was, oh, I can help people even more. But the thing that I was really saying actually was, I can help myself more, because Matrix Reimprinting, because my pattern as a child and growing up was, I used to dissociate as a strategy for dealing with trauma. And so Matrix Reimprinting is perfect for this. So it's interesting how we go on a career path based on trying to seek resolution for ourselves, trying to find answers to ourselves, and yet we think it's to help other people. But as I say to people, like, well, we can continue on that path now, but let's just get rid of the traumas that got you here now, so you can carry on and help people. Does that make sense? Yeah.
Yes.
So I can't think of anything specific in my childhood other than that was my nature. Yeah. The original was I did want to be a nun for a short time. I don't know what, but I've got to mention past lives here, don't I? So I know I was a nun in the past life, so I was already tuning in as a child to that, but that got dismissed. I think I like boys too much, to be honest, in this life. And then I was a nurse in the war as well, so that also plays a part in who you become. We know that as well. So that's been an interesting journey to investigate my past lives. Yeah.
So was it a instance that you came across your past lives or was it like, you studied a course and then you suddenly thought about your past life and you started drooling on it and started, kind of unraveling your life? What was it about?
In regards, well, see, this is why I'm writing the book, to educate people on how we are so tuned into our past lives in so many levels that we don't know it unless somebody educates you on how that is. And so, for example, in my 20s, I did a meditation and I saw kind of two ladies stood next to each other in black outfits, basically like a servant in British times, you know what I mean? And I kind of looked at it and went, don't know what that means, and nobody was there to say, analyze it for me and say, oh, that might be a past life. Nobody did that for me. And that was in my 20s. And then I did a meditation where I was kind of literally felt myself in the water and I felt like I was a dolphin, actually. And nobody said anything then, you know what I mean? So, and it wasn't till 8 years ago where I was in England and somebody did matrix reimprinting with me because they wanted to do a demo. And I said, and all of a sudden my subconscious went, oh, remember that memory when you were in your 20s? And I said, I think that might have been a past life. Something's telling me. And then that was the clincher. Like I did matrix reimprinting on that. And then saw myself in England, in this household go, we did some healing on it. It was like all this carnage outside, whether it was a plague or whatever. And then I naturally saw myself kind of go upstairs, and it just it reminded me of a TV show that I used to watch all the time in England called Upstairs, Downstairs. And I always, as a child, resonated with the servant, by the way, you see. And so I'm like, oh my goodness, like even as a child, I was so tuned into that past life that I resonated with the servants. Yeah. But after that past life, that's when I came back to Australia, said, right, I'm going to leave in 6 months' time. That was my goal originally. And I did leave in 6 months' time, and I've never looked back. And that was through healing that past life, because it was what was happening was I was being kept in this servant role. And then that had to go for me to move on to become an entrepreneur, business owner, international trainer and everything. So it's been pretty phenomenal. Very
Awesome.
exciting.
Awesome journey.
Yeah.
I'm dying to ask Sandeep, have you ever touched any of your past lives while in dance? Have you felt like you're in a trance and as if you're doing something that you didn't believe that you were doing, but you had already done before? So it was just happening, like how Osho says, it's just happening. It's not something I'm doing. Have you had such an experience?
Yes, a few times, but the first time when I had it, it was quite strange. I remember it was what I think 14 years back. We were doing a show 15 years, and I had rehearsed a lot for it, almost about 2 months. And in the middle of the dance, it's still giving goosebumps thinking about it. In the middle of the dance, I saw myself dancing.
Oh my.
And I still remember I was sitting like this and I'm watching down, like as if it's a balcony show, and I'm watching myself performing down. It was only for about a few minutes. And then, of course, the show got over and everything. And my wife asked me, "Oh, were you okay?" I was like, did I make any mistake in the choreography? She said, no, you didn't make any mistake, but when I looked into your eyes, you were not with me. And then I told her, you might not believe what I'll tell you, but during that show, for those few minutes, I saw myself dancing. She said, don't tell me, I don't believe that. I said, yeah, that's what exactly happened. And I don't know what really it was. Until today, I can feel that it was a magical feeling. I remember my pose, I remember my look, I remember what I was wearing, and I'm sitting and I'm watching myself dance, which is strange. It never happened to me before. Of course, after a few times it's happened, but it's that first feeling was so unreal. But I think it just makes you feel beautiful because you finally see yourself dancing. Otherwise, you have to see only videos.
See, that to me is a clear example of, you know, you were already at some level tuning into what you've done before and bringing that gift in without even having to access it. It was just within you, you know, within your soul. Yeah.
And I must tell you one more incident. You know, I went to learn this dance called Tandura in Egypt. It's a Sufi whirling dance, which Shobha ji also has seen me perform.
Lovely, it's lovely.
And I was performing it, and this teacher of mine, he is like one of the top teachers in the world, and while spinning, he speaks, and whatever he speaks comes true.
Wow.
I would always ask him that, how do you do that? So he just says, I don't know. Something comes to my mind and I speak. So I was like, okay, fine. And one day I was spinning, and when you say I'm spinning, I'm talking about spinning on and on for almost 2 hours, 3 hours non-stop, which is going into thousands of spins, and it's like a trance. And suddenly I felt a light coming into me and hitting me, and I stopped and I fell down. And that is when he told me, no, you should not have stopped, because that's when some power comes into you to start
Enlightenment.
connecting you with what you're praying to, what you're reaching out to, what you're calling out to. But that was the only time it happened. It never happened again. Let me tell you. I have been spinning for years after that, but nothing had happened to me after that. Maybe because I'm still thinking of that light. One has to just let go of everything in life, be completely thought-free for anything to come to you. If you come with baggage, no relationship will work. So same way, if you go with baggage, asking him for help or thanking him, still nothing will work. So I guess those days I was learning with no thought in my mind. I was just spinning and spinning and spinning. But now I'm spinning for a purpose. Now I'm spinning for a reason. So whenever you spin for something with a reason, I think it will never connect. So I'm waiting. Maybe one day it will happen again.
Great.
Yes, Shobha.
Yes. So thank you so much, Sandeep, for sharing this. But after this, did you try to explore past lives? Did you meet any past life therapists to understand what's going on and why this happened?
There's one right now, Sandeep, right here.
Yeah, right here.
Right here.
Well, if you ask me, no, I have never done that. Because I have, there are some of our students, in fact, who are into that whole concept, like we're talking about. You know, they do all of that wonderful things to understand what we were in the previous lives and how we can come to terms with today's life based on what happened before. But I guess I have always been this very happy-go-lucky person. I just accepted the way the life has come to me, and it's okay. Good days are there, bad days are there, worst days are there, and the happiest days are there, and they will come and they will go, and something else will come. So I have kind of never really thought of going back and to check. It'll be nice to do it, but I don't know. I never felt the need for it. I just let just go. Do hota hai, we'll see. Doesn't matter.
Right. Thank you, Sandeep. Caroline, just asking you something on past life since the discussion is on. When you do a past life session, is it that after your session is done, those past life imprints are there in your subconscious mind and you keep thinking about it? Is it the fact?
Well, let's just say there was quite a traumatic memory that, and the person hadn't realized that they're, you know, whatever they're going through, whether it's relationship thing, issues, physical, psychological, and they just don't know it's a past life. Yeah. So what we do is we've evolved a technique of actually, see, I don't do a past life regression. I only go back to past lives as the person needs to, depending on what they want to work on, if that makes sense. Yeah. And so we have a way of getting back to these past life memories, whether it's, you know, a lot of the people I work with were burnt at the stake or punished for the alternative healing work that they did, whether it's herbs or, you know, natural medicines. And so we go back and we do some healing, we do some tapping, and we can change that past life. So instead of it being a negative life event, that it's edited like a movie into a positive event. And so when the person now looks back at it, it's a positive experience and not a negative. And when we do that, that now without doing anything, changes your law of attraction. And so you might start, and this is what happened to me, like started attracting like very, very positive people into my life that were spiritual, that needed to go into the past lives. And you know, it's quite phenomenal how all that works when you're open to all that. So then they don't really need to keep thinking about it because it's done. It's permanent healing. And then they kind of go back into life and then work, you know, something else might come up, and you know, they might need to go into another past life and heal that in relation to it. But one of the things that I really believe, and what I've proven actually, is that, you know, we can kind of, and I've heard it said, that we've got enough to deal with in this life without going past lives. Well, to me, it's like, well, aren't the patterns from a past life coming into this lifetime? You know, if it's positive, great. Do you know what I mean? If it's a positive trait, so it's dancing. But what about these negative patterns? And doesn't it make sense to actually start going past lives first, to disappear the pattern there, so that you can naturally progression on in this life? Yeah, so much quicker. And that's what I'm finding. So it's very powerful, very powerful.
So Shobha, I worked with Caroline, worked on me with past. What she does is she doesn't hypnotize you to take into past life. That's not what she does.
No.
The past lives appear like how if Sandeep was talking about, and he said, oh, I went on the stage and I felt my, she will start from there, tapping on him and cleaning up that space. And it's not left as, oh, you were so and so in the past life. She goes and sorts it out for you. So she's basically not a past life regressor. She is a past life sorter. She cleans up the space and transforms that energy, if there was anything negative, into you getting your learnings and into something positive.
Yeah.
Maybe that's tied also with the pandemic right now. And maybe we could ask a question here from both our speakers that, you know, could it be that, you know, we're talking about past lives, we're talking about this life, and we're talking about a pandemic that's there. And some of us are absolutely okay. Some of us are not okay. Some of us have lost our loved ones. And the thing is that most of us are losing something very important in our life. It could be a job, like Sandeep said. It could be a child. It could be a father, mother, a sister, brother, a property. So what do you think are the lessons that this pandemic has come to teach us? And if Caroline, or I think we can start with Caroline first. And in fact, I would, you know, I would say that let all four of us look at this and answer it in our own way. So let's, Caroline, thank you.
I'm happy to start. So during this time, you know, I've obviously not been able to travel internationally, so I've been able to focus on other ways of working, which of course Zoom is perfect. And I've done some mentoring sessions with previous students, and I've asked them kind of, okay, let's look at what issues are coming up for you as a result of COVID. And I've actually got a client in Holland, in fact, that came to me as well, and with an issue, and the issue actually still went past life. So even though the dynamics of COVID, which was the isolation, feeling abandoned, you know, all the anger towards all the curfew, I think they were having curfews at the time, and so that went past life. And some of the other students obviously in this lifetime too. So the reason people have been triggered is not about what's happening now, it's about what that triggers them about their childhood or about their past life. Does that make sense? Yeah. Because when we actually did the healing work, they kind of went, well, it's actually not that bad, is it? Well, these curfews, well, maybe I can use this time to rest and relax and have a whole different perspective. Yeah. So for myself, you know, I was blessed to be living in a beautiful house, you know, a bit further down from where I am now. And I literally know that I was put on a sabbatical by the universe. So when all the curfews hit, it was my time to go, you know what, this is the time to write a book And if I don't write it now, I'll never be able to come back and say I've never had any time, because you just can't go there, right? You're not even allowed out after 8 o'clock at night. So that was my kind of push to go, you've got no excuse, Caroline, you know. So that's when I started getting this book done last year. So yeah, again, it comes back to perspective, doesn't it, of the situation. And I understand people have gone through horrible times and, you know, lost jobs, like you're saying, lost businesses. I understand that, but then it's like, well, why, you know, those that have living this life of success, that have worked on our subconscious memories and traumas, why is it that we've got through this so much easier than somebody who hasn't? That's a very cool question to ask, isn't it, really?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So Sandeep,
You know, there was a time when we said there were three most important things for us: roti, kapda, makan. Yeah, big hit Bollywood film also was there based on that. But today we realize it is not the roti, kapda, makan which is important. So there was roti, there was kapda, and there was makan. Of course, today roti is important, but we don't have to go to restaurants to eat lavish food. A simple rice and dal is enough for us, because everything is shut outside. All restaurants are closed. So you can't be going out and having 5-star meals because it's not available to you anymore. What's available to you is just the closest grocery store where you get the simplest of stuff.
Yeah.
Roti, kapda not required. 2 jodi is enough. Today you
Actually,
you have something else, you wash it, wear it again, because no parties are happening, no weddings are happening, nothing, right?
Yeah.
So 2 pair of clothes are more than enough to survive whole year long. I think I have actually worn just 2 pajamas in the whole year that the whole lockdown was going on. And I did realize that all these cupboards you see behind me have been locked for the past 1 year because I haven't opened them. All my suits are lying inside and I have not worn them at all. So you don't require the kapda. And your makan also is just that one little room that you live in, because that's your whole world today. Your whole world, that is your own people, are with you, next to you in that one room, and that is what is the world to you. And we kept thinking all the time that the world to us is the outside world. My friends, my this, my that, my travel, my shows, my events, you know, thousands of people watching me, that was the world. But that is actually not the world. Our world is actually sitting with us in our rooms.
so do you agree, Sandeep? We are living in the world of illusion.
Definitely we are. And this pandemic has taught us that only thing that's right now important is Wi-Fi, because that's what keeps us happy and connected even to our dear ones and loved ones. And if we want to get away from them, this is the only place that we can go as to save ourselves. But yes, these 3 things, roti, kapda, makan, and the 4th one today is the Wi-Fi. I think these 4 things, the whole concept of it has changed. We actually don't need so much that we thought we would always need it.
Minimalistic.
Absolutely.
And I think it's good. Imagine this pandemic, if it would have happened in 1980s, what we would have done, we could have not been able to talk today like this. We would have not been, what we would have, there would have been no Netflix, there would have been no Amazon Prime, there would have been no Swiggy, there would have been no Amazon to do anything. What we would have done, we would have actually been sitting and talking to our mothers and fathers and children.
Yep.
And today we are getting the time to do it, and let's have the best of it.
Absolutely.
It's been I think this 1 year, 1.5 years that the lockdown has happened, or the COVID virus has hit all of us. I think it's done really good to a lot of us in so many ways. Yes, we have lost a lot of things. Indeed, I agree. And been big losses emotionally, financially, socially, physically, everything. But I think it's given us is to understand that our most important part of the world is just next to us, and let's take care of it and embrace it the best way possible.
Absolutely agreed, Sandeep. Absolutely.
So Shobha, would you like to throw light on what you found during the pandemic? Because I think this is a very important question That's been, and I've been hearing you all along talking about it. So let's share it.
Well, I lot of insights during pandemic right from the time it started. Initially, in 2020, when it started, it got me a little nervous. All more because my mom is on bed, and I was wondering, if doctors are not there available and hospitals are not there. God forbid she never has to go there. But those thoughts keep running my mind and stuff like that. What will happen? Kaisa hoga? Kya hoga? And all of that. But as the time passed, I got adapted to sitting at home and doing nothing. And then I had lined up my event also in St. Regis, which could not happen. So that got me a little more tensed in thinking, okay, what next? What next? So there I came to that taking of the small step. I am not very digitally very good at digital, technology. So I said, now how to do this digital thing? It's a first time for me. But the second thought came to my mind, okay, there is always a first time in life to do things. Yeah, let's begin. We may not become a pro like others are, but there's always a learning involved. And then right enough, thanks to the universe, it got connected me to the right people who helped me through technology, who helped me through everything, and I was able to create a digital event first time in my life. And Mr. Hiranandani, a person like Mr. Hiranandani, appreciated me and told me that I am the pioneer of creating an event set, in digital media. And I was like on top of the world. I said, oh, I have somehow managed to do this. If I can do this, I can do much more. Okay. And then slowly after the event, I started doing webinars. Again, I got connected to the co-host who was mine, who was there with me, and he helped me a lot with how to handle Zoom and how to handle this, how to handle the Google Meets. So helping each other, I started learning these things, and then yeah, that's how I grew. But one thing what I realized, this is all of course the work part of it and the physical part of it, but my focus has always been the inner calling for me during this pandemic and until now is I want to create awareness on soul enlightenment. See, we are the souls. Every person is a soul, and we are incarnated into physical, emotional, mental, and etheric bodies. Okay. There is a universal message the nature is trying to give us. We are not opening our eyes to that. We are only till now involved in materialistic world, in the physical world, but we are not connected to our soul. And I guess that is the message what the universe is trying to give us and Mother Earth is trying to give us. I always believe in one thing, which is karma. Okay. And this period, the era which started from 2020 and supposed to be going to 2030, I believe, and then a lot of this transition phases are going to happen. But the natural calamities that are happening across the world, the pandemic, the COVID, and so many deaths, it's so hurtful. I mean, it just touches my heart. I bleed actually when I even listen to these things. Okay, this happened here and that happened there, but I alone cannot do anything. Like I always say, okay, it is in togetherness that we can do a lot of things. So I alone cannot change the world. I'm just through these mediums, the little that I know these mediums, I'm just trying to create a little awareness to people that it's time to wake up. Okay, we have done enough of money making in life. We have done enough of our activities for everybody in life, but it is time to wake up within and connect to Mother Earth, because that is the priority. And these are the karmic lessons that we are learning. So even if we cannot wake up now, then I mean, we are always complaining, COVID ho gaya hai, natural calamities are happening, but let us understand why they are happening. Today, we are living in a world which is full of radiation, which is full of negative emotions, which is full of jealousy, which is full of anger, anxiety, backbiting each other, and all these so many negative things. We are radiating this negativity into nature. So nature is going to bounce back to you with negativity only. But if we try to spread positivity to nature, the positive vibes would come back to us. Isn't it natural? What we are echoing is the same what we are getting. We have together, in togetherness, echoed so much negativity. So what are we complaining about today? And what right have we to complain about today? Because it is we who have done it, right? Do you all agree that it is we who have done it? Nobody else has done it for us.
Well said, Shobha. And I'm so happy that you've actually expressed yourself. And that was the thought behind creating this
Society behind wow, yes. That
platform.
what Sandeep is doing. See, we are right now, this is the second episode, as I mentioned earlier. But Sandeep and Caroline, I want to take this to the common man, because see, we all are from a background where we have achieved something and we have had our disciplined life, and we are following something because we are alternate healers, because we are dancers, because we are singers and connected to art. We somehow are connected to our soul as well. But there are many people who are carrying so much of their daily baggages in terms of negative thoughts, negative emotions, and work stress, and so on and so forth. And they need to be focusing on two things in life, which I very strongly believe in. And trust me, I have seen miracles with that, is only gratitude and forgiveness. You may do what the hell you want in life, but if those two things are not done, the diseases are bound to touch you. They are bound to touch you sooner or later, because you are carrying the unforgiveness within. You need to learn to forgive. Only then you have the right to ask God to forgive you. It has to come all from within. So opening up from within is very important. I'm sorry, but I'm talking very naturally, and I'm talking within the heart, because these are the thoughts which are in my mind, and I want to share it to everybody, and to help them understand that it is very important that besides your daily routine of what you are doing, it's important to connect to yourself, whether it is for 10 minutes, for half an hour, for 1 hour, in whatever way you can. Not necessarily be only meditation, but yes, meditation would help you evolve yourself faster. And there are many other things which a person can do. So depending on each one's lifestyle, I thought Anu and me could be two of the best people who can guide them to what they can and they cannot do, and help them move a little step ahead towards their soul realization. So this is my society behind wow, where I'm trying to create soul realization and
There
stuff
is a
like that.
line which James, very famous Irish writer James Joyce, had written in one of his books, where he said that do not, many people body parts are not with them.
Yes.
Yeah,
Mind, body, and soul is not aligned at all.
body parts are not aligned. We as
Yes.
dancers and artists, like you exactly said, Shobha ma'am, somewhere are aligned in some way because we learn the art form. But many people are not aligned. And James Joyce so beautifully had said it in his book, which of course later on got banned as well. And he said exactly the same thing. There are many people who are not connected. Hands are not connected with the body. Their legs are not connected with their body. Mind is not connected with
They
the.
talk something, they think something, their eyes are somewhere, they're looking somewhere, they're not
So
in
it's
alignment with each
important
other.
to discover yourself, even if it takes a lifetime to do it. No problem, but just be at it. You will one day get it.
Yes. Oh, that was a nice one. Be at it, you might one day get it.
Absolutely.
I
Yes,
do
Anu,
know from the
let's
work.
hear from you now. What you have to say on this?
Say that again.
I said, let's hear from your perspective. What you have to say on this?
You're talking to me?
Yes.
Okay. So I feel that we need to be more honest and authentic to ourselves.
Absolutely.
My mentor, Dr. Kwesi, has always said this, and I'll quote and unquote him. We can live a life of dreams, we can live a life of achievements, we can live a life of opportunities and success. But if we are not honest to ourselves, and we are only working to create harmony within outside, there is no harmony inside. The harmony inside will reflect outside when we are honest to ourselves and honest to everyone else. The other thing that he says, and I love what he says, is living is a process of let go. We everyday morning let go of all the toxins that we accumulate in our body. And yet, because we didn't learn to let go, we are now paying a heavy price of letting go of so many things like dear ones, loved ones, job. And these are all obstacles, or are they all opportunities to learn something new and to create something new? I believe, like Sandeep said, he whirled around for 3 hours to touch the light. I think we are all whirling around to touch the light in our life. It just depends with what intention we are going to hold that light in our heart. I love what Caroline does, and she says, let's not just hold our life here. It was a series of something that we have always said in Bhagavad Gita. It is the past that will repeat again. And that's all she's saying. It's the past that's repeating again. And there were many lives in this life, and that's been proven by so many and has been mentioned in Bhagavad Gita. And with you, Shobha, what you're doing is trying to create a world with happiness and joy and love. So I just feel that we, even on this platform, are trying to get our flavor, and we are all different flavors, different flowers who can be put together, and together it's so much more tastier. Otherwise, it's just about me. And my mom said very nicely, sounds like a goat doing meh. Sounds more beautiful when we say we.
Yeah. Caroline, I have always been doing the EFT by Brad Yates.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Brad Yates, a very famous video, Inside Out. I have been practicing that EFT for quite some time in the past, though I don't do it now. But yeah, I have been. And trust me, if you do it twice, thrice a day, it does change your mindset. It brings a lot of calmness to your mind. And I have, after that, advised a few people in the corporate world also to follow the Brad Yates Inside Out, and they have also found good results. So would you like to throw light on EFT a little for our viewers?
Yeah. Well, EFT in its basic form is basically acupuncture, but we tap on the points, very specific points, instead of sticking needles in, basically. And when we tap, we're still creating a vibration on the end points to allow the negative energy, the blocks, if you will, to allow a clearing of those blocks. But we also bring in psychology as well. So if we have a physical pain or an emotion that we're feeling, we can literally focus on that, not in a negative way, just acknowledge that that's what's going on for us, by using what we call a karate chop point. Acknowledge what's going on, like even though I have this physical pain in my chest, I can still love and accept myself. So acknowledge the issue, acknowledge that you are fine, that's what you're going through. And then as we tap through the points, every point is related to a certain organ. Yes. So for example, under the eye is related to your stomach. So if the energy is sitting in your stomach and you've got stomach issues, then this point here is a really good one to tap on. It's part of the routine. So we just focus on, I bring in the words, I can choose to let it go, and it's safe to let it go, because when we're doing the tapping, we're talking to our subconscious. We're not just saying it out there in the ether. And I like to include those words because we forget we have a choice to let things go. And we also unconsciously don't realize that it's safe to let it go as well. So I find people, by adding in those words, will have a bigger shift, actually. And that's what people are reporting back to me all the time, is I really like the fact that you're bringing those words in.
So what, according to you, Caroline, how many times a day should do one do EFT to get better and faster results?
Well, it's not so much about how many times you're going to do it. Like, you know, it's not kind of like, let's do positive thinking 3 times a day. Do you know what I mean? It's more about recognizing in any given moment of the day when you're getting triggered, when you have a negative thought or a feeling, and then going, okay,
scaling
well,
yourself between 1 to 10 and seeing how much negative you are in your thoughts and stuff like that.
yeah. So let's just say, you know, you see something on television that is something about COVID, it brings up fear. All right, because that's the primary thing at the moment, isn't it? Worldwide, it's all the fear mongering that's going on. And so the person can just start to literally start tapping on themselves, and breathing, you know, breathing into the heart space and just allowing to be with that and acknowledge it, you know, that that's what they're feeling right now. Yes, so, or they might have a physical pain come up, and it's like, oh, okay, notice it, because, you know, the thing that I find when I'm teaching is that we're so used to feeling these negative pains or emotions in our body, we don't actually notice it until on courses, for example. That's what I get people to tune into that, and they're like, wow, I never even realized that I was feeling that until, or where it is until, like, we're doing the process, you know. So it's just awareness, and then having the tools to you know, EFT is brilliant. It just works so quickly.
It is brilliant. No wonder.
Yeah. And then so that's all the surface stuff. Now, you know, EFT, you know, like, let's just say a memory comes up, you can also do some tapping for any emotion that the memory brings up. However, what we've proven over the years is that matrix re-imprinting, which is still using EFT, actually heals the memory at a much core level, because we instead of bringing all the feelings into ourselves and tapping on the emotions for the memory, we're actually going into the matrix. So we're imagining stepping into the movie of the thing as your current day self, and tapping on the younger you, whether it was half an hour ago, which I had to do with somebody who nearly drowned and was in shock. So we did matrix on with him on that, and got rid of the shock at a core level. Or, you know, like when you're 2 years old, you know, we can go back then and we literally imagine tapping on the self and its core, because how much core can you get to heal a trauma than actually going to yourself in the matrix and tapping at that very moment? Does that make sense? So the results are phenomenal. You know,
I
I've
know,
helped
I'm
people.
sure.
Yeah. So,
Yeah, right.
yeah.
Yes, I know.
Now, I can definitely say the results are brilliant because Caroline has worked on me. As a little child, as a 6-year-old, I was sexually touched, and Carl, her brother, her elder brother, is the one who worked on me years back when in Czech Republic when I was living there. And yeah, I mean, and then much later in the day, Caroline worked on it. So there were some aspects which were still there. And if that work was probably not done, I wouldn't be who I am today or even work in the field, because, you know, when you're kind of holding all these memories into your space, you don't allow yourself to move further.
Correct.
And we have to get it that that was happening then, it's not happening now. And if
Yeah.
it's, we live our life as if things are happening right now to us. So it's one thing that the brother and sister are doing such a brilliant job. Over here, I would really like Sandeep to, you know, we would end this topic nicely with Sandeep bringing in, how do you deal with, because you're not doing tapping, but you're doing something very spiritual, very beautiful, connecting with yourself, connecting with the art. How do you help people to dissolve their stress that they're holding in their body? Because you so beautifully said, the legs are not really attached to the body. And yeah, how do you do that?
No, ma'am, actually, it is, we do the same thing what you do. It's just that names are different. The other day, I was talking to someone about this. When we are dancing, you know, normally when you go to people, they say acupressure, acupuncture, And there are various ways to, cure different body parts, just like how Carolyn ma'am also just now spoke about tapping here for the stomach and so on and so forth. So when we talk about our feet, we have so many different portions of our legs, right? Toes, small toes, big one, ball of the foot, heel, so on, side, inside, whatever. Now, when we dance, we actually use different part of that foot, put pressure on it at different point of time while dancing. And yes, it is curing us. Those are different. We are saying 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 to it, and we are putting music to it and putting hand movements to it, and we have somebody else standing next to us doing it as well, or we dress up in shiny clothes and do it. That's all an extra jargon to it attached. But actually, if you go to see, we are doing the same reflexology that we're talking about.
Yes.
It's the same thing. It is when you go, if you just put it together, it's also one of the hastas of the Indian classical dance. You're putting pressure. You're putting pressure on it.
Mudras also.
Yeah, so you're doing the same thing. It's just that you give it a name as dancing. We have said that we are putting our heel and we are putting our toe and inside part on the outside part. Do it like that 100 times. And here you go to a clinic and the person is pressing it 100 times for you. It's the same thing. It's exactly the same thing. It's just that there is some doctor who's doing it for you. And here there's a teacher who's telling you do it yourself.
Yeah.
And you just tend to do it. So I guess sometimes we need help, an external help, which is wonderful to receive. And sometimes if you're not privileged enough to get that help, you have to be your own help. And dance becomes that help for you. Dance becomes your doctor.
Yes.
So
True.
Miss Caroline was the dance for you, Anu ma'am.
It activates all your chakras.
She was like the dance of your life.
Yeah. Would you be teaching the adults of the population like me?
Yeah, like me? Like me also?
That is only in the mind.
But you've also got the endorphins coming through too, haven't you? You know what I mean, with the music. Like it just sets you, like a really good song, like, whether it's upbeat or romantic, whatever, it just kind of brings out them endorphins and you just want to dance, So dancing is amazing.
Yeah,
I mean, I remember back in teenage years going to the discotheques, and you come home and you're just buzzing, and we weren't drinking. It was more to do with just on the dance floor. Yeah.
So Sandeep, I really mean to ask you this, that somebody like me who's never danced in her life, never learned anything professionally, and I'm sure Shobha and Caroline the same. I mean, Caroline definitely did dance, but I came from a home where dance was not considered, the gharana woman wouldn't do it. But I've always had this itch to learn. Would you be creating something where people like us could learn from you, maybe on the internet?
There's nothing as people like us, because I think we all are same. Yeah, everybody is same. So when you are coming to learn with nothing in terms of your background of dance, or whether you are in your 20s, your 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, or even if you're a small child, they all are same because the mind is still the same, right?
Yeah.
I must tell you a very beautiful story. It brought tears to my eyes when I read that letter. I had this student of mine who was in her beginning 70s. Teacher's Day, she wrote a letter to me. She said, when I was young, I wanted to dance, just like how you said. But my parents said, girls from good families don't dance. So sorry, we cannot teach you to dance. So she was not sent to a dance school at all. And when she got married at the age of 18, she said, I told my husband, let's both of us go and dance. So he said, you know what, I'm too busy working. So why don't you go alone and do it? And I came from a family where I could not leave my husband and go and dance alone. So I never went. I had two beautiful children. They both said, can we dance? I said, yes, why not? So I took them to a dance class. I enrolled them. And I said, can I join with you? And they said, how can we dance with mama around us? So I would take them to the dance class, sit outside for almost 18, 20 years. And I could not dance. And today my kids are married. My husband is no more. And I want to do what I could never do.
Yeah, same here.
I think that was such an amazing, beautiful, heartwarming letter. And she said, thank you so much for making me dance. I said, it was thank you for choosing me to be dancing. What she wanted to do all her life, that lady could not do. And I think today she's doing it. She chose me to be her teacher. I think that was a wonderful thing for me. So yeah, it's not just she who's thanking me, it's even me who has supposed to thank her. Because I think it's only in the mind that we feel maybe I cannot do it, because we are told so many things by others that we start believing in what they're telling us.
Chalo, Anu, me dance with Sandeep on his online classes.
Online class, you will have fun.
Yes.
Yeah. Seriously. मैं तो अपने हड्डी टूटने से इतना डरती हूँ कि उसके बारे डांस सीखती नहीं हूँ, पता नहीं कब हड्डी टूट जाएगी डांस वांस करते हुए.
टूटेगी हड्डी. You can do whatever you want. Come.
Okay, done.
Come and join
तो
my
हम लोग join करते.
Wonderful. See, this is how life goes on. I really thank each and every one of you.
Yes.
Beautiful flavors. And I just thank Shobha for bringing such beautiful society behind WOW. Before you guys leave, I want both of you to tell us, what do you understand by society behind WOW, and how can you connect with that? Thank you. So over to Caroline first, and then to Sandeep. Really, thank you.
Okay. Sorry, what were you asking, Anu?
How do you feel about being a part of the society behind WOW? What do you understand by it?
Oh, yeah. No, I think it's so important. Like I say, I was, in a failing marriage, nursing, bringing up children, like that whole life for 23 years. And I do value it because now I appreciate my life now. But the absolute key to be where I am now and just living this, that's why I'm calling it past life to dream life. Like literally living this dream life. And it doesn't mean that I live in a mansion. It's not about that. But I know I can get on a plane. Well, I used to be able to get on a plane anytime I wanted to. Or now I can just get on an internal plane or get in my car and drive. And just that whole sense of feeling that soul connection, knowing that I've healed, traumas in this life, traumas in past life, to be present to myself today. Do you know what I mean? And connected, and just have that I think the quiet mind is so important. And to be able to share with you on this platform that there are tools out there where you can, you talked about the soul not being in the body. Well, that I know is from trauma. A lot of it's from trauma, whether it's in utero or at birth or later. And so with these tools, you can actually heal and the soul comes back in. I see it time and time again. It's really quite phenomenal. In fact, it happened today in a session. I won't go into that because it's with a young lady. And I said, oh, are you feeling grounded? And she said, Jeff, like I never do normally feel grounded. And with the work that we did, I believe her soul came back in because you could see it in her. And so that is just very special. But yes, thank you for providing this platform, because I have a huge affinity with India, as Anu will tell you. I went to Osho International, had an amazing time there. I do believe he came to me and encouraged me to do this work, by the way, with past lives. He came in the auditorium. So yeah, I'm very grateful for having this platform to share what's available. Yeah, thank you.
And yes, Sandeep.
Well, Shobha, ma'am, you have always been coming up with great concepts. And thank you for making me a part of your second episode. It just feels wonderful. I know the society behind WOW, your purpose is to bring different type of people, different type of practices, mindsets, ways of life to other people. And like you correctly say, learning to unlearn also is very, very important in our life, because we tend to get so boxed up in certain things of our own life and we don't realize that there's lots more outside it as well, which can become a part of our life as well. So these kind of chats and talks and people talking about their journey and their way of thinking, it can enrich us in so many different ways. And maybe even if we can pick up one small point and bring it into our life, the society behind WOW has done its job.
Yes. Sandeep, I'd like to share something with you. In the first episode, we had Yang Zyger, who was is a friend of Anu Mehta also. And he was with us and we were sharing his journey. something so interesting he said. Right from the time I have heard him, trust me, it's not getting over me. There were two things which I learned from him, which were very, very important. He said he writes something called crisis book. People write gratitude journals and forgiveness journals, but he is writing crisis books. So we asked him, what is this crisis book that you're writing about? And it was so informative that he said he's writing about all the crises in the life that can happen and what would be his actions when these crises happen. So he is well prepared for it. And that was just so touching, because how many of us really think of doing these things, you see? The second thing that he mentioned was every day in the morning, he goes and he hugs trees. So when he is hugging trees, he is getting the life force energy, he is getting the prana. And that, that hugging the tree, if he is hugging 10 trees in the morning, imagine the life force energy that he has throughout the day to do his activities with his mind, body, and soul aligned completely. So these are small little things that we learn from each other, and we can explore only if I know what you are doing and what I am doing and how we can work together in making our lives peaceful.
Even now can't hug people, so actually hugging trees is the best option that he has chosen. Yeah, actually.
Actually, and he was such a sweetheart, no, on the call. He was like, he was very, very positive in his talks, and everything he answered so much with love, full of love. It was very nice to have him. And thank you, Anu, for bringing him on the show. It was really good. So this is what Society Behind Wow is, where we are trying to learn from each other. And if we are getting people on the show who need little assistance from us in terms of what they can do to release their daily stress levels or anger or whatever, we can definitely guide them in our small ways that has been our learning in life. So it's always time to share and care is what I believe. And this is just a small initiative to create a good society behind WOW.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for having us over. Thank you.
Thank you so much,
Thank
Anu.
you.
Thank you, Caroline. Thank you, Sandeep.
Thank
It
you.
was a wonderful evening today spent with you all. Thank you, and
Thank
bless
you.
you. Stay safe, stay healthy.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.